Welcome to PENSDOWN. This is the program that tells the storyteller's story. A lot of things go on. Journalists grapple with a lot. So many things confront them behind the scenes. But principles of news reporting and storytelling are such that the journalist is an observer, not a participant. So they are unable to insert their own issues they grapple with into the narrative. This is why PENSDOWN is here. Here, the journalist is no longer the reporter or presenter. The journalist is the newsmaker. We tell the storyteller's story. Today, I have been joined by a correspondent of the Guardian newspaper who is based in Rivers State, Nigeria. She's also an experienced investigative journalist. She is the executive director of Step Up for Women Journalism Initiative, a network that provides a platform for exchange of ideas and mentoring support for female journalists and young media professionals on excellence in investigative reporting and leadership. She has attended several training and mentorship programs, including those organized by the Thomson Reuters Foundation and the British Council. She is a recipient of the prestigious Wole Soyinka Journalism Award, following her commitment to the group of journalism practice in the States where she operates from. Also, her numerous investigative stories has spurred relevant authorities to act right and stay accountable to the masses. Based on her vast knowledge in investigative reporting, she has received several grants from organizations including Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, Stakeholders Democratic Network, Policy Alert, Africa Data Hub Community Journalism, among others. And those have been channeled towards doing thorough environmental, community-based, and human angle stories. At the behest of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, she was invited to share her wealth of experience with other journalists, lawyers, ministries, and parastatals on the issues of human trafficking in Nigeria. She is one of the fearless and respected journalists in Rivers State, with several award-winning investigative reports to her credit. She is currently a master's degree student of communication studies at Rivers State University. She also holds a Bachelor of Science degree in mass communication from Imo State University. And Chuka Godwin is my guest. Happy to have you on PENSDOWN today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you too.
First of all, one of the things you never captured in your profile is that you're a mentor to many. Obviously, somebody who is saddled with training the next set of young media professionals is a mentor to people she may know and others who are also remotely modeling her without even her knowledge. How long have you been in journalism and what has kept you in this profession all these years?
Thank you, Mr. Steve. I think I've been in journalism for over a decade. Wow. And I would say that passion is what has kept me in the industry. Because I realized that journalism is a calling. It is not just a profession you come to, showcase yourself or just you want to earn a living. So when you come into the profession with a mindset, that it is a calling, it is something you do by deriving joy, it is something you do out of passion, it's something you do because you want to impact lives, it's something you do because you want to bring people out from their poverty level to a level of having a good livelihood. I think that's what makes me fulfilled. That's what makes me, joyful. And that is what has sustained me, having seen my stories over the years, put smiles on the lives of people. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic period, I was constantly engaged by the Wolshoinka Center for Investigative Reporting. I did a lot of stories, investigative stories for them. There was this project they centered on, the COVID-19 pandemic project, how to, alleviate the sufferings of the people. And amazingly, one of my stories, I anchored the story on how pregnant women were suffering during that COVID-19 pandemic. The hospitals were shut down. There was no movement. Women were just locked down. And I went into the street. I did that story. And joyfully to me, aids came to them. Government came to their, aid. Organizations came to their aid, and the women were happy and they were smiling. So that's one of the things that give me joy, and that's one of the things that has really sustained me in the industry, seeing people, come out from their pathetic situations.
Within these 10 years or more that you have been around in journalism, a lot of trained, qualified professionals have abandoned the ship. Some have found themselves in corporate communications or public relations. Others are just doing anything at all that can give them survival. Attrition is happening a lot in journalism. What is causing this from where you say it? What can you say is the cause?
For me, I think the major cause of that is because of the issue of not being able to break the boundaries, to break the barriers. Because especially in Nigeria, the country I come from, there are so much economic downturn. The economy is not smiling and all that. And, if you're in the journalism profession, there is need for you to sustain your family and all that. But if you are a professional that, you just, live within, or you just put your eggs in one basket, you don't break the boundaries, you don't develop the can-do spirit, you don't, move beyond the norms, at a point you get depressed, at a point you get tired. But what has, helped me to stay on is that, I developed the I can do spirit. I believe there is so much in me to push out. And when I push out such things, it makes me to become more visible. And as I become visible, people, organizations, come searching for me. For instance, there was a time I did some stories. There is this, situation in River State where I live, what we call the suit, pandemic, black suit, where black suit covered the atmosphere in River State. So intentionally and deliberately, I was doing that story, following it up from 2016 when the situation began. I was doing it on my own because, I see it as a duty, as a responsibility. I went on doing it. And I didn't know that people were watching me, organizations were watching. At a time, SDN, Social Democratic Network, called me and said, Anne, can you do further stories on this, suits pandemic? Can you dig deep further? Can you make more findings? I said, yes, why not? Because it's a passion, it's something that is in me. So I moved on and I started doing, I did the story, and I think that they paid me very well. They paid me very well. So there are a lot of things journalists can do that can keep them going, that can keep putting smiles on their faces. Like what I said in the Zoom meeting that I just finished from, I said there are so much multiple opportunities in the media profession. So much, massive. In fact, I have to say it here that the journalism profession, the media practice has much more opportunity than any other profession. But the challenge we have is that a lot of people are cynical, a lot of people are lazy, a lot of people are adamant, a lot of people are ignorant, a lot of people are not, willing to key in to know and to search out for these opportunities. So I think this is one of the things that have kept me going. There are so much massive opportunities that I have been able to key in, and that has made me to keep moving.
You just ended a training session where you were a facilitator on pitch and grant writing dynamics. I happened to smuggle myself in to take a bite, although I wasn't qualified by the definition of your participation. Yes. It was arranged purposely for early career journalists.
Yeah.
You have done 10 years. You are, not an early career journalist. But I want to find out from you. I'm sure maybe at the time you started, you didn't have opportunities like this. Are the younger journalists coming today better off in terms of opportunity than those that have done 10, 15, 20 and above years?
Yes, I think I would say the answer to this is capital yes, because we are now in the fast digital age, and we are now in the era that there are a lot of trainings and opportunities for journalists. So I think this era of journalism, like what I said when I was having that training with the African Young Media Foundation, I said I practiced for 7 or 5 years without knowing about pitching. That is a big lacuna. That is a big gap to me. Yeah. And the moment I got trained by the Woloshenka Center for Investigative Journalism, and I got acquainted with pitching, I had a speed in my career. I had a lot of speed. So I think this days journalism, there are a lot of, we are at better advantage, I must say, because there are lots of trainings, there are lots of organizations that are ready to train. There are lots of, organization funders that are ready to, help journalists advance their capacities in the profession. There are a lot of people that are ready to lay a helping hand, which I'm not sure that we are available in the past. You can see we are also now in the new era or the new media. Like you can see we are having this interview. I don't know the location where you are, but I'm right here, granting you this interview. Before, when I started newly, my predecessor used to tell me that they will finish from the field, they will rush down to the office, they will, walk a distance to file the story with the facts, all that. That is a big challenge to the journalism, to the media industry. But we can see now that there is this new norm that even not just in journalism, a lot of organizations are, becoming agile. A lot of people are keen in. A lot of companies are, migrating to the new norm. They are doing the things they can't do before. So I think there is so much, available opportunities for the new generation journalists. One thing I keep saying is that they must develop the passion, their can-do spirit, in order for them to harvest these enormous opportunities.
How did you discover the journalist in you?
Well, I would say that it's years back, as a young teenage girl. I have always loved to, see people read the news. I have always loved to, see people smile. Then while pursuing my career, I asked, what can I do to ensure that, I make people smile, that people that are troubled, people that are heartbroken, how can I contribute, to ensure that their challenges, their problems are alleviated. I noticed that one of the major careers that can do this is journalism. So that's what spurred me into journalism. So I started, I studied mass communication. You can see in my CV, in my first degree, and my second degree, I'm also studying communication arts. So that's where I picked. And over the years, I have practiced, as a journalist. I will say that it's been quite fulfilling, having seen some of those your dreams, having seen those your desires, come to actualization. So it gives me joy. It gives me, lots of joy. And not just that, you see people being impacted, you see communities being impacted by your story, by your report. And one thing that is quite obvious is journalism makes you to become famous, maybe as little as you can.
That's right.
As little as you can be, your stories, your bylines, will be making moves. I was surprised. I was in a meeting, with some political actors in Rivers State. Because I am the female journalist that is just the female journalist among the national dailies.
Okay.
So I write political stories. I do a lot of analysis, a lot of investigative stories, and I'm also a child of God. So
Fantastic.
People say I look quiet. So one of the politicians in that meeting, said, "You look quiet, but you are dangerous." So I think, I think this work brings out the greatness in one.
Wow. When you started journalism, were you married? If no, between that time and now, how challenging has it been as single and as a married woman?
Wow. This is an amazing question. Yeah, I wasn't married.
Okay.
I practiced for like 5-7 years as a single lady. So, and my prayers had been before I got married that God should bless me with a man that will encourage me in the profession, that will make me fulfill more of my God-given, potentials and greatness, because it's as if it's embedded in me. It's part of me. I just love writing. I can see things, when I observe situations, I can form my story from that. So I told God, I want someone, a partner that will encourage me. And luckily, God answered that prayer and blessed me with my the president of my school then, the president of NIPES, that is the fellowship president, and he studied computer engineering. But the amazing thing, when I write my stories, he look at my laptop, he edits it. He encourages me, as journalists, we travel a lot. We travel a lot. Our work takes us out often. And he has encouraged me. He has, he has given me the necessary support. Before I won the Wolshoyinka, journalism award, the prestigious award, the course was for 6 months. It was tedious, it was tasking, it was demanding. But I watched my husband, he never complained. Sometimes I would wake up at night, even when I had my first baby, maybe within 3 months when I resumed work, the baby will be on the bed, my husband will be on the bed, I'll be on the laptop, I'll be working. Because as a writer, I flow more at night. I do more of my feature writings at night. That's when I flow. So when he look at me, he will smile. So I'm just happy. I'm just happy doing the work. So, and I encourage every young, media practitioner, every young media enthusiast, that don't just rush into marriage. Why trying to get, to hook up to your partner? Look for someone that will share your passion with you. Someone that will encourage you, someone that will support you. This is not the era that, you kill the career of a woman. No, this is not the era that you say, drop your career. No, because the more I do this work, I see myself getting younger. So because I do what I like, because I have the support of my partner, that have always encouraged me to keep doing what I like. And as I do that, I feel better and I feel happier. And it makes me feel younger.
Wonderful. A line I read in your profile is that you are one of the fearless and respected. Now, these two adjectives will only sum up to integrity. You are an investigative journalist. How many times have you been approached with anything material or monetary to compromise the facts of any story or report you were working on?
Okay, I tell people that, in this work, in this media projects, that our integrity matters a lot, and that is what sells us. That is what sustains us. If you want to advance, if you really want to go far in your career, in your journalism practice, first thing is integrity. You must uphold the ethics of the profession. Don't allow the societal pressures, political pressures, friends and all that, whatever, to, compel you to bend or to compromise your integrity. If you really need to go far, mark that word. If you really need to go far. So I think as journalists, sometimes there may be issues that may, compel or push you to, bend, to adjust, to compromise. But there is something that have kept my health tall. I told myself I can't compromise. One thing I read about the ethics of journalism said, don't add, don't subtract. Yes. You don't add to entice, to impress someone else, and you don't subtract in order to also, gain favor. You don't subtract to impress another fellow, because my byline matters a lot to me. That is one thing I tell the young people working with me. I say my byline, anything that has to do with my name, is very, very, important to me. So I don't joke with it. I ensure that it is balanced. It is, it has all sides of the story. I ensure that I don't compromise my reportage. So that is one of the things that have kept me, strong. Integrity. I keep that first, and that is what has helped me so far.
How has social media changed the face of journalism practice?
We are now, as I said, we are now in the new, era, the new digital era. Before now, you wait for the national dailies to break the stories. But right now, even while it is happening, you see a lot of stories flying, on the air, in the internet. And that has also, brought in the challenge of fake stories, false news. You see false news all over, especially during the 2019 general elections, somebody will say this is the result, while at the end, that may not be the actual result. So I think that has, affected the journalism practice in one way. But in the other way, it has also given a boost to journalism practice. Because, for instance, I did a report recently by African Data, African Hub of Journalism, I think South African-based organization. And in that story, I did a multimedia work. I did the report, I did the video, I did the audio. My editor, the paper published my story, and the audiovisual, was also published. So while reading the story, you can also look at the audiovisual, which will give you better interpretation of the story. So when you read the written words, you can also look at it on the visual aspect of it. That has, I think, the new era of journalism has really giving boost to media practitioners. And there is a lot we can do. And there is also need for journalists to, get themselves acquainted to this,
Yes.
new era of practice. I tell people that sometimes I pay money to learn. Sometimes I invest money to update myself. There is need to constantly update yourself so that you can flow with the trends of events. If you just keep yourself like that, you will be, obsolete. And nobody is interested with anybody or any journalist that is obsolete. So it's for you to be relevant, for you to be visible, for you to be a sought after, for you to be a demand, you must, invest in yourself. You must invest in your skill. You must polish yourself. You must make yourself relevant on daily basis. So it is very, very necessary. It is very, very vital. When Twitter came in, we joined. There are a lot of things I imagine on daily basis, and we keep following. And it is very, very important we do that.
Does journalism pay?
Yeah, I would say yes. If you know your onions, journalism pays, and you become. I think I am comfortable. I may not be the Nigeria wealthy politicians. I may not be the Dangotes and all the rest of them. But I think I am good to go. I am comfortable. And what has helped me to do this, if I was lazy or if I was relaxed or if I was not breaking boundaries, doing the things that are beyond the norm, I'm not sure that I'll be getting the favors I get or getting the offers. Yes, let me say the offers I get. Sometimes on my social media, when people look at my profile, when people look at what I do, because I tell people, learn to celebrate your wins. You understand? Your achievements, some of your stories, the impact of your stories. For instance, if I do a particular story and that story, after a while, I follow up stories. Like the suit story I was telling you about, it started 2016 and this is 2022. I am still following up the stories to look at the impact, to look at how much impact that story is making. Is government changing the policy? What is happening, to my story? So when I notice that there are impacts that have preceded my story, I pick it, then I make a post on it. You understand? So when people look at it, some of them come to me. I get offers in the social media, but I am not losing attention in my primary, place of work, which is the Guardian newspaper. So I do my best to ensure that we remain the flagship of the newspapers in Rivers State. Yes.
Social media has created richer bloggers in Africa than richer journalists. Journalists, have we taken full advantage of social media enough? Or what did we not do such that people untrained in communication have overtaken us and made a fortune out of the platforms?
I think the challenge I said is that some journalists appear to be complacent. They appear to be used to the regular, norm, regular things, regular reporting, regular this. They confine themselves, within the normal news of reporting, the 5 Ws, how, when, where, how. You understand? There is need for you to push. There is need for us to push until something happens. There is need for us to report until something happens. So these are the things that really matters. There is need for us to break the boundaries. There is need for us to break the normal, the usual, thing that is obtainable in the industry. You agree with me that even some of the big media organizations are stepping up. Before now, the national dailies, they have just the print media. But because of the emergence of the social media, you notice that, papers like The Guardian, we now have the Guardian TV, we have the social media.
That's right.
Guardian ranked, highest recently. So there is this, aggressiveness, to embrace the new norm, you understand? So I think apart from the organizations, making efforts to embrace the new norm, individuals, journalists themselves also need to, up their anthem. There is need for them to, come out from the usual routine of writing press releases and waiting until, government does something. There are things you can do, like I was telling them about pitching. You can go out, observe things, you can pitch a story idea. You can do something, pitch a story idea that can give you money. There are a lot of organizations, foreign organizations, donors that are really ready to, sponsor such stories. So it is very, very imperative for journalists to, step up, because the world is moving and we need to move along.
What would you say stands out as your most challenging assignment so far, or set of assignments, if it's not only one?
Wow. Okay, there are lots, so it's not easy. Do you know that sometimes, because working in the National Daily, we get assignments, memos from our editors.
Okay.
I have the daily editor, the Sunday editor, and the Saturday editor. And these editors, they have the task that they want to fulfill, or something that will make their pages, either the cover page, the front page, or the what they want to concentrate on. Sometimes when they send us some of these, memos or assignments, to be sincere, one day I was discussing with my former colleague, who is now the SA to Governor Yenson Weekend, Mr. Kevin Edri. He said some of these assignments is like further mathematics. We are communication students. So, but when you see assignments that you are directed to do that is like further mathematics, so you don't know where to begin, you don't know where to start or where to end. So one thing I do first, I will just, when I see such assignment, I will just lay my head on my desk. I'll maintain calm and stay alone for some time, and my the ideas on how to go about it will come. So one of the bottlenecks I've had is the story I did recently on the challenge of suits in River State. I needed to go deeper. I needed to go beyond the reportorial aspect of it.
Yes.
I needed to get data to back up the story. If I am saying that suit is, killing people, if I'm saying that the suit challenges is causing, heart-related diseases, what are the facts and figures to justify my claim? So, and as a journalist that have been trained in that, field, I need to present these facts clearly. So the challenge I had was going to, government, hospitals, and different, parastatals to get some of these, facts and figure to give my story a layer, to give my story a flesh, because I was telling them data and facts are layers to your story. They are the fiber, they are what strengthens your story. They are what makes your story strong. So I had quite a lot of bottleneck in getting this, getting these things done. There was a time that I had to, pause on the story. I halted the story, but after a while, I come back and I continued again. So, but one thing that have made me, to achieve results, I refuse to give up. I don't like giving up on a course. If I am on a course, I will ensure that I achieve results. I ensure that I achieve that particular objective. It may delay, it may take some time, but certainly with time, I will achieve the results. So these are some of the bottlenecks. And I've also had the cause to travel to oil devastated communities while carrying out some investigative reports. Some of these communities, you see, it's really not easy to gain access to such oil spill, sites and all that. like some areas that are being the HYPREP, that is the hydrocarbon agency, claim that they are carrying out clean up. The journalists are prevented from getting access into the site. So these are some of the challenges we have. But sometimes we have our way of going through the community people. We go through the community people to ensure that we gain access to these areas, because you can't do such stories. You can't do such, oil spill stories by staying in the city of Port Harcourt. I live in the city called Port Harcourt, while some of the polluted areas is in the rural areas. So I need to go and have, have a first-hand information, observe, because my observation, I also put it in my story. When I do my story, if you read it, you will just flow, because I dramatize how everything is, how it is happening, and you will appreciate it.
Let's talk about the brown envelope. What's your position on the brown envelope?
I think the issue of brown envelope shouldn't be a motivation for journalists. It shouldn't be a yardstick. It shouldn't be a primary task. Just do your work with passion. Do your work and be happy with what you are doing. Like, for instance, that was before I got married 10 years ago. I moved in to a particular woman that was making impact. That was the era of Niger Delta militancy.
Okay.
She was, in charge of, or she played a vital role in bringing the ex-militants to, bringing them to normal life, rehabilitating them. Okay. So when I noticed what she was doing, I moved in, I interviewed her, and I spoke with some of the ex-militants, and I did the story. When I did the story, she didn't give me any money, I left. Some days later, the story was published, and I sent her the link. She was quite impressed. She said, "Oh, you can do this." So after she saw what I did a very elaborate, work on that. I know I really went beyond the normal interview. I did a very elaborate. She was happy with my work, and she gave me a check, which I will not mention here.
Wow.
So, and do you know that the relationship has been sustained till today?
Wow.
Currently, as I speak, she is out of the country. Okay. And she is seeking the partnership of my foundation to carry out a project. Some time ago, we are doing something. I'm just telling you the essence. Relationship matters a lot. There are a lot of journalists that have ended the long time favor they would have, gotten, they would have received because of the little change, brown envelope. And because of that, they drop a vital story. Because of, not receiving brown envelope, they dropped an important story that will impact life, that will make changes. That is not good, and that is not fair. So this lady I am talking about, she's Mrs. Josephine Itoye, the founder of Quantum Business School in Port Harcourt. Some time ago, we were having my foundation, we planned to have a program. And each hotel we went to, they were telling us from 150,000 to 200,000, 300,000. Now she has a beautiful edifice in somewhere GRA Port Harcourt that is even better and finer than the hotels we were going to. So when I now approach her, I say, "Ma, we want to do this program." She said, "You?" She was not in Nigeria, but she made calls to her workers and ensured that everything we needed was put in place. This is relationship. Yeah. But I would have ended this relationship because of a token of brown envelope. You understand?
Yes.
So it is very, very necessary. Do your work. Ensure that you achieve a target. Ensure that you make impact. The brown envelope, what is bigger than brown envelope will come later at the end, not immediate.
What are your golden memories these 10 years and a little more?
The recent one is my award, the World Chuka Center for Investigative Journalism, Female Reporters Leadership Program, is a program by female that is organized to empower the capacities of female journalists, and the applicants, we have at 141. We have some applicants from Spain, from across the world. We have some from Kenya. We have some from Nigeria, and God's grace, I was among the successful applicants. We were just 21 cohorts, and
wow, that was very competitive.
Very, very. So at the end of a very, intensive and rigorous training for 6 months, we all gathered for such, award, and it was quite thrilling and amazing, for me, because every other person has been, they called the second runner up, the third runner up, and everybody was waiting and watching who will match the best winner. I know how the MC does do their things,
Yes, they will keep you in suspense.
Talk and they will pause. Yes, they will talk. Everybody was in suspense, and oh my God, you need to see my picture. I was all in tears. Finally, that the MC mentioned my name, I said, wow. It was quite
amazing.
Thrilling. It was amazing, while I was on stage, the award was, they asked me to smile. I can't even know, I can't remember how to smile again.
Yeah,
I don't know if I should cry or I should smile,
That's right.
But in all, I would say that it was quite fulfilling. It was joyful to me. It refired me. It a kind of, steered me to do more. It encouraged me. It taught me that what I am doing is being recognized, is being seen. Perhaps you may like to know that the Step Up Women, the Step Up Women journalism is vetted from that training. I currently, it's vetted from that World Chuka training. I currently run a foundation. We are about, over 40, women journalists in Rivers State, and I'm the executive director. And amazingly, we have about 6 PhD degree holders. We have a master's degree holder, and we have a lot of people that are passionate, because from that training I realized that a lot of people have been in the profession, but they have not been able to utilize, to maximize the opportunities. They've not been able to, know the things that should be done and how to do it. So in that, network, we call ourselves Network of Brilliant Female Journalists that are eager to change the norm, to change the narratives. We are Army female journalists. So a lot is being done among us, and people are recognizing us. So that's one of, my greatest moments in the media profession. I will also say that second, my colleague, my predecessor, the bureau chief of the Guardian newspaper, Port Harcourt South Zone, was appointed the SA to Governor Nyesom Wike. And being a female, sometimes people belittle women, their abilities in us.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know that my editors were watching and observing, and as he left, we thought that they could bring a male to help the Port Harcourt Center. But amazingly, my editor said he believed in me, that I should go ahead and, take charge of Rivers State. And by God's grace, that has also challenged me more. I see myself that whatever a man can do, a woman can also do. I keep my head up, wherever I go. When my senior colleague was around, I was reluctant of doing political analysis. But these days, I just see myself flowing. I do it. I know Port Harcourt, River State is a hotbed for politics. I'm sure you must have heard it. So these are the things. But I think one thing that has helped me to, be in this position and for my editor to believe in me is that I was intentional about what I was doing. I was unwavering to the profession. I was dedicated. I was committed. I just had this unusual, belief in me that it is possible that I can do it.
How many more years are you going to go before dropping your pen? Or you're doing journalism for life?
For now, I will not let the cat out of the basket. So, yes, I have plans. As you can see, I am furthering my education and also having other things, I am, gearing up for. But certainly I will answer that I won't spend my lifetime in journalism. Yes, there are people I'm mentoring, as you said. Yes, I mentor a lot of people. I have a lot of people that are learning from me. So we are hopeful that one of the days we'll hand over. And as my mom will always say, we pray that our children become better than us.
That's right.
That is my desire.
Right. That's right. There is the increasing political ownership of the media. So many politicians and politically connected people are setting up media platforms. Is there trouble on the horizon? Do we have a reason to be worried?
Yes, it is really, really worrisome because I would say that the challenge, we discussed it during we discussed this issue earlier this year because such has not given, the support to media freedom. Such appear to gang the media, the press. You see the media, a lot of politicians setting up media organizations, media houses, and where you have a politician that owns a media house, you find out that it is quite obvious that that organization, no matter how hard they try, will definitely tend to be biased somehow, someday. Yes. So this is a challenge to the Nigerian media and also a challenge to the information out. So it's a big challenge. But for me, I think I will say that this media work, it should be a personal thing that has to do with an individual. If you want to stand out, if you want to make impact, don't work for your pockets, but work for the people. Because the people are those that will speak for you. But if you think you are working for an organization and, you tend to, you see a black, you call it white, you see the truth, you cover it, someday will come that when the people will rise up and speak against you. So it should be an individual. Learn to keep your hands, clean and live by the ethics of the profession.
My final question. Should journalists be licensed?
Journalists, individual, because I know that some radio stations and television stations are licensed.
So I'm talking about individual journalists, media professionals, like lawyers do, doctors do, and the rest. Should we also be licensed?
Yes, it is necessary because if it's the states where I work, there are a lot of people that are making this work to be difficult for us. There are a lot of people that do not have work, and they feel that they carry. Some of them, the midget may not be working. Some of them, the telephone they are using may not be active. But you just see them enter the streets. and identify themselves as journalists and begin to run after politicians or the others. So I think that situation has made some journalists to lose respect. It has made some journalists to lose not to have integrity, not to have value in the sight of some people, you understand? So I think there is need for regulation. There's need for the journalists to be, to have lines. It's very, very important so that if you're a professional, you're a professional, you must have, you must adhere to the ethics and to the rules of the profession. We don't just, as you see journalism presently, everybody is a journalist. There is no regulation, you report. That is why there is so much fake news. Everybody is a source. You understand? Stories come from different angles, and for me, the situation has so much, a kind of made the profession to begin to lose value. So it is not supposed to be so.
And Chuka Godwin has been my guest today on PENSDOWN. It's been exciting, a lot of ideas, very deep and detailed in her perspective of issues. Probably because she likes to go beyond the surface. Investigative journalists are those who do unconventional reporting, not your usual he said something. They want to tackle the thing from the standpoint where some corrupt person will lose that bread on his table, which is not rightfully gained. That is what she does. And she says that integrity remains her most priceless asset. Indeed, every journalist worth their weight in the profession needs integrity. They shouldn't be questioned, no matter who they are dealing with. Thanks a lot for your time today on PENSDOWN.
Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate it.
Right. This has been PENSDOWN. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next time with another edition, and another colleague will join me so we talk their journalism journey. Bye for now.